the EU, not an actual country, the EU is being downgraded by the credit rating agencies from whatever their outlook was prior to outlook looking negative. And they said the reason we're doing that for the entire EU, of course, is because there's 4 countries, namely Germany being the powerhouse, etc. France is one, that hold together about 45. These 4 countries hold together about 45% of the income generated for the EU, or that's their contribution basically. 4 countries, they hold 45% of the contributions to the EU system. Now, they're saying due to the other countries that are in trouble and the exposure of those other countries, or the exposures that Germany, etc., those 4 countries have to the bad countries such as Greece, Spain, etc., that exposure, it's why we're going to go ahead and cut this rating down on you. And that's interesting because pretty much at the same time, there's an actual German report. It was actually translated, and I wasn't going to read it to you because I'm going to end up butchering it simply because of the translation done by Google. But the long story short is that shipping out of Germany has just fell off a cliff. Exports out of Germany, and shipping of course with that, have fallen off a cliff. And they were quoted saying it hasn't been this bad since prior to sometime around, I don't know what month, but 2009. Now that's funny because I could have sworn the official worldwide story is that the recession has officially ended as of April of 2009. Green pastures should be ahead in the near future. Well, 2009, 10, 11, 12, fixing to be 13, 2013 here shortly. That's going to be 4 years approximately coming up from 2009, from the officially ended recession. And I'm noticing that there's stories like this happening very recently. And they always have the headline of such and such, you know, falls off a cliff basically, or declined massively, etc. since such and such date. Worse since such and such date. And it's usually around 2008, 2009, or 2010. So they're telling us we haven't seen these numbers this bad. And it's not just shipping, it's other things too. Across the globe. And it's something like whatever, you know, pick a topic, doesn't even matter for the most part. It's gonna fall off a cliff anyways. And that's what the reports are saying. So, you know, I'll let you just decide whatever you feel like talking about. I'm gonna have to cover my face here a little bit because if I pull my visor down, you're not gonna be able to see me. So anyways, we're looking at times where they say, oh, 2000, you know, worse since 2008, worse since 2009, worse since 2010. Well, wait a minute, that covers the exact time frame of when we had the alleged recession, 2008, end of 2008. And then shortly thereafter, 2009, April 2009, just a few short months later, all of a sudden recession's over. That's the official story. So no matter a few months, the recession ended. It's also the same few months that we had the TARP bailout. And then we had the banker bailout, etc. And then we had the Federal Reserve, this whole time even, printing money, even fairly recently, printing money, trillions of dollars, given to these bankers. And now we're getting worse news today that we're beating bad news records compared to when this recession supposedly started and after the recession supposedly ended in 2009, April. So we're covering both sides of that. We have right when the recession kicked in, worse numbers than then, and then right after the recession ended, just a few months later, allegedly, worse numbers than then. Therefore, any normal, rational, thinking human being would say, if you haven't already, of course, the news, the media, the government is lying through their teeth. Man, they're lying really bad. And if they're lying, and it really is worse than they've said, which just proves that that's true, And they're still telling me now the Dow's up to 13,000, everything's good, it's okay. Just a little glitch, a little bump in the road, we're okay. Then that's probably a lie too. If that's a lie too, then perhaps things are going to get much worse than we've all been told. Therefore, recession equals coming depression. And this massive amount of money they use to just barely kick that can down the road, a few years basically is what they've amounted to. They've doubled the national debt in the same time period. And that does not even include the $16 trillion basically that they gave the banks. We have our national debt, and it's what it is. That is not what the money, or that does not include the money they gave the banks in this secret, again, this audit of the Federal Reserve, thanks to Bernie Sanders and another senator or congressman. And again, it was gutted too, so it's not like the freaking, man, I can't hardly see this traffic light in front of me. Then lost my train of thought. But we have $16 trillion debt plus another $16 trillion handout to the banks. Again, Federal Reserve audit shows this. So that's technically $32 trillion. And they're not actually calculating that towards our national debt somehow. So it was almost as if they said, you know what, we're just going to print this money. We're not even going to print any bonds this time. Because if they print the bonds, then our national debt goes up. And if they print the bonds, we have to pay interest on those bonds. So it was almost like this is not really America money. It's the Federal Reserve is going to print it for the bankers at near zero interest rate, and it's as if the bankers will just pay back the Federal Reserve straight to them, not have anything to do with America or something. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, because they're not calculating that $16 trillion that we gave the banks. It's not and has never been in the deficit number. $16 trillion deficit is where we're at. So where is that money being calculated? And even so, they gave the $16 trillion to the bankers. We took our $9 trillion debt to $16 trillion in the same time period, right? 2008 to now, 2012. Same time period, and we've only been able to kick the can, as they say, down the road a few years. That was the best. Took our whole country from the time it was created over 230 something years ago to reach $1 trillion of debt in 1971. So we'll just say, you know, whatever, a little over 200 years it took to go to $1 trillion. It only took 30 years to go to $9 trillion in debt. And then it only took 8 years to go for, well, actually that was 6, excuse me, not 9 trillion, 30 years to go to 6 trillion. 6 trillion to 9 trillion only took 8 years. That was when Bush was in office, right? So you can see this debt getting bigger, 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 faster, 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 more, 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 shorter, 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 shorter period of time. Then Obama takes office. 9 trillion goes immediately to 11, short while later goes to 12, short while later goes to 14, short while later goes to 16. They raised the deficit 4 times now that I'm aware of. It was a 9 to 11, that's 1. 11 to 12 to 12 to 14, yeah. Should be 4. Should be 4 times they raised the debt in one presidential term, and we're not talking little money. Like, so, well, Ronald Reagan raised it too. Yeah, he did. But look at what he raised it by. You know, pennies compared to what they're doing right now. And again, it does not matter whether it was Obama in the White House right now or John McCain or, for God's sakes, if Mitt Romney wins. It doesn't matter. The debt stays the same. The banker bailout stays the same. Your crappy life getting worse and worse stays the same. Your purchasing power, buying less and less, stays the same. So, any wise person would say right now, I think something bad's coming. Something bad cometh this way, economically, financially speaking. And based off of these news articles, and again, Moody's being able to actually downgrade something, again, they were not downgrading when they should have. They only downgrade when they're told to downgrade, right? That's how that works. So they should have been downgrading prior to 2008, as soon as the housing bubble started. As soon as they relaxed regulations and stuff and allowed everybody to just go get a loan, whether you could pay for it or not, that whole thing, immediately, Moody's, we don't like what just happened. This is going to lead to very bad financial times, an implosion in the housing market. It's going to drag the economy down, etc. We are downgrading everybody who participates in this, which is basically everybody. That's what should have happened. Did it happen? Absolutely not. Not only did it not happen, they got AAA, beautiful credit ratings the whole time. Everyone is approved, and everyone who uses these banking facilities, they've got AAA ratings. Everybody's just a AAA fest. Everyone's AAA. It's just Moody's and everyone else's S&P, the credit rating agencies, just AAA fest from the next following several years. That's what happened. So now they're being able to say it, and no one's really saying anything. You don't have our Timothy Geithner or anybody else, even in the EU, saying, "Hey, that's why are you downgrading us?" No, they're not, because they know it's time. We're allowed to move forward with the movie script. Okay, go ahead and start reporting, because the big crash is coming. We got to start having news trickling out that kind of makes sense here and there, even though the majority of the news that you need to know is not being told to you, or is being downplayed. This is just a little blip. We had a little slow week on the markets, and it was based off of mood. I'm already seeing it. European markets are down. Our market's down a little bit this morning, pre-market, based off of the Moody's downgrade story. That's it. Did anything really change? Did anything physically change in the marketplace? Did all of a sudden a new bout of bad news on top of the bad news that made Moody downgrade, right? Did that just happen right after that happened to make the markets go down? No. All of that was happening is Moody's was going to do something they were going to do anyways, which was downgrade it based on information that's already here. So why is them up? Bad news, market goes down. Good news, market goes up. But wait a minute. I've already seen it recently where bad news market goes up and bad news market goes down, and then good news market goes down and good news market goes up, which tells us it's not people, it's not traders doing stuff, all the day trader. It can't be. It is computerized algorithms controlled by the government mainly that move the market wherever they want it to move based off of whatever reason they want it to move on. That's the fact. And here we have silver, it's up like 16% or so now in a matter of, roughly a couple of weeks. And again, don't think for 1 second that they can't smash it again. They can't just tell the CME group all of a sudden, hey, we need you to raise margins again. And as a matter of fact, 2 days later, raise them again. And as a matter of fact, after that, another 2 days later, raise them again. It'll cause a sell-off again. And again, where the hell is the margin increase across the board for all commodities on the COMEX by the CME group? We got a 90-day reprieve that ended like August 8th, I think was the date. I even called them. What happened with that? You guys gonna do it or not? We only got a few days left. Well, we're talking to the CFTC currently, and they may give us another 60 or 90 days reprieve on that. But you don't know currently, no. Nor did any news really come out and say anything about it. So somebody sent me one thing on it, one thing that I found where they actually said, yeah, here's the news that you were looking for. And it was, of course, after the fact that it happened. So the CME group is part of this whole timeline, this movie script. We're not ready to crash it yet? Nope, give us another 60, 90 days. So if they give us another 60 days, that's August, September, October. There's a nice October surprise, but what if they give us 90 days? October, November. Oh, you mean after November 6 elections? Right, because November 8th would be exactly 90 days later. Then we can put in place the margin hike all of a sudden and cause the prices of commodities to go down. They will need to do this. I'm telling you now, they need to do this for one reason. Even if they don't do it, I won't know why they didn't do it, but I will tell you why they need to do it. Because as every country in the world prints more and more, and realizes, again, what I just said, this little recovery is not a recovery, so they're going to have to do it again, bigger, more debt, and it'll last an even shorter amount of time of kicking the can. That equates to prices rising majorly. But any price that anybody's really concerned with is commodities. That's the price everyone needs to be concerned with across the face of the earth. because that includes food, gasoline, oil, right? The necessities of our modern life, in life period, when you think about food. And commodities, food, are traded in the commodities market. So if you automatically knew, as a central bank, as a government, etc., that controls that market, no one thinks you do. You know, the average people don't think you do that, but of course we already know you do. For this exact reason, you could say not going to say it, they'll just destroy the commodities market in advance of hyperinflation or any inflation. That way, the prices are already low, we've destroyed the markets. Now go ahead and print money out of control like we've never seen before. And EU buddies and friends across the pond, you do the same thing. China, everybody else, you do the same thing, because China numbers suck right now too, by the way. As of today, I was looking too. China's numbers suck as far as their economy goes and their exports. So everyone's just going to print, but if we were to do that, prices would skyrocket. We have to pretend that that's not going to happen and that the normal fundamentals don't exist, so we will fraudulently control commodities and let them get destroyed so that we can print, and then inflation can kick in. And then once inflation kicks in, the prices go back up to where they were, that kind of thing. And then higher, of course. Now, naturally, gold and silver are commodities, and they would be affected if they do this. I've been still saying for a while, I still think they'll crash it. However, if they've lost control of the gold and silver markets because of their manipulation starts to fail, because they are exposed, and hey, you can't make good on these deliveries, and hey, the LBMA says we're not delivering any silver in the quantities of 5 million and 10 million that you requested unless you keep it in our system and don't touch it, and we'll let you pick whatever member bank you want to store it in. That is a sign, that is a signal we don't have the silver. Not only do we not have the silver, we don't even have the several million you need, the 5 and 10 million ounces you need. Even though we claim we've got 130 over here and whatever, you just want 20 or 15 million. We've got 130 million, but we don't want to release it. In other words, we're just claiming we have that. It's actually a pooled account that all kinds of entities use, including the LBMA, in the SLV, in the COMEX, and any other paper garbage that has to do with gold and silver. In leasing it. You think you're leasing gold and silver, they're actually leasing you a piece of paper with a physical claim behind it that is owned 15 times from Sunday by some other parties. So they can't afford to take that little 10, 15 million out right now. That's the issue. So we're getting down to the wire of them being able to continue to do this and manipulate the silver market, in my opinion. I don't know how, could it last a whole nother year? Sure. Could it last 2 years? Sure it could. But what I'm seeing is a speeding up of the process of exposing them and their paper game. And if the web bot's going to be right sometime in the near future, and this last run's been pretty damn accurate, by the way, silver and gold should be going up pretty significantly. Not to mention, the elite themselves, according to Lindsey Williams, who's always right, has said they want gold at $3,000 an ounce and they want silver at somewhere between $75 and $100 an ounce. So automatically, that's where they're going to go in the worst terrible case scenario. What's the price today? $32 an ounce for silver. $1,600 and something dollars an ounce for gold. Close to $1,700. Or getting close to it. So, if they have their way, gold will almost double. Silver could triple. It will at least double, because doubling would be $64. It's going to $75 to $100, they said. Therefore, it's more than doubling for silver, but gold is not quite doubling, because doubling gold at approximately $1,700, that's $3,400. They said they want it at $3,000. Therefore, gold will not quite double, but silver will absolutely more than double, and even better, possibly, could triple. And that's if the elite retain control over these things, gold and silver. If they don't, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to for too much longer, the prices will go much higher. However, if you were in with silver right now at $30 or even $40 an ounce, that's where you got in at, and you got several hundred ounces, and it's going to $75 to $100, you're not going to exactly be upset when that happens here in the near future. I mean, let's face it. Me, who's been all over the map, including it from $10 an ounce all the way up to $42. I mean, a small purchase, I think, at $42. You know, plus the little fee, whatever, it was like 40 probably $44 total, you know, shipped to my door fee. I think I bought like 25 ounces or something like that at that time. Maybe 50 ounces. Because I bought it 35 and I may have got 20. No, actually it was 35 or 34 somewhere in there. I bought 50 ounces, and I think at 42 I bought like another 25. So I'm in all over the place. And believe me, my $10 silver going to $100, 10 times the value, 1,000% increase. And I've got, I think, 200 ounces that I bought at that price. I am really not going to be disappointed or too upset. But I'm still going to hang on to it. And I will then sell when it's several hundreds of dollars an ounce, when these people have finally lost control. And they will lose control. Nothing lasts forever. No manipulation lasts forever. This fake recovery clearly isn't lasting forever. It barely lasted anything. It's time to send the chickens home to roost. So, that's all I got for you right now. Take care.